Ealdred lived for the hunt. It was more than a necessity. It was woven into his very being. Since he was a boy, the forest held no fear for him, only a deep and abiding respect. He knew the language of the trees, the whispers of the wind through the leaves. His skill with a bow was unmatched, his arrows finding their marks with an almost supernatural accuracy. But Ealdred never took his skill for granted. He saw himself not as a conqueror, but as a participant in the ancient dance between hunter and prey. Each hunt was a sacred ritual, a delicate balance of need and respect. Ealdred understood that the forest provided, but it also took away. He had seen the harsh realities of nature, the fragility of life. This understanding fostered within him a deep sense of responsibility, a reverence for the creatures he hunted. He took only what he needed, using every part of the animal, wasting nothing. This reverence, this understanding, set Ealdred apart. He was not driven by bloodlust or ego, but by a deep connection to the natural world. His hunts were not about conquest, but about communion, a way to participate in the ancient cycle of life and death that sustained them all. The forest welcomed Ealdred like an old friend. The air was cool and damp, the scent of pine needles and damp earth filling his nostrils. He moved with a grace that belied his size, his footsteps silent on the forest floor. He paused often, listening to the sounds of the forest, reading the signs of the animals he sought. A broken twig here, a scattering of feathers there, each told a story. This was the language of the wild, and Ealdred was fluent. He tracked a group of wild boar through the undergrowth, their heavy forms leaving clear trails in the soft earth. He observed a hawk circling high above, its keen eyes searching for movement in the undergrowth. Each encounter, each sign, brought him closer to his quarry. He had been tracking a stag for days, a magnificent creature. Its antlers spoke of age and wisdom. Ealdred moved with even greater care now, his senses on high alert. The stag was a wily creature, its senses sharp. He would have only one chance. The forest held its breath, the usual sounds of bird song and rustling leaves seeming to fade into the background. The air crackled with anticipation, a tangible energy that spoke of the ancient dance about to unfold. Ealdred moved like a phantom through the trees, his eyes constantly scanning the forest floor. He spotted it then, a flash of movement in the dappled sunlight. The stag stood in a small clearing, its head lowered as it grazed on the tender shoots of new growth. He notched an arrow, his movements fluid and silent. His heart beat steadily, not with fear or excitement, but with a deep respect for the creature before him. He drew back the bowstring, the muscles in his arm bunching with the effort. Time seemed to slow to a crawl. The forest held its breath, the only sound the gentle whisper of the wind through the leaves. Ealdred aimed for the heart, a clean kill that would end the animal's life swiftly and with minimal suffering. He released the arrow. It flew true, a whisper of death in the stillness of the forest. The stag reared back, a startled cry escaping its throat. Then it crumpled to the ground, its lifeblood staining the green grass crimson. Ealdred stood for a moment, his head bowed in respect. He did not revel in the kill, nor did he shy away from it. He had taken a life, and he did so with a heavy heart, but also with a deep understanding of the necessity of his actions. Section 4. A Pact of Respect. He approached the fallen stag, placing a hand on its flank, feeling the warmth of its body, the last tremors of life fading away. He whispered a prayer of thanks, an ancient acknowledgement of the pact between hunter and hunted. This was not a victory, but a solemn exchange, a life given so that others might live. Ealdred worked quickly and efficiently, his movements honed by years of experience. He would use every part of the animal, wasting nothing. The hide would be tanned, the meat would feed his village for weeks, the antlers would become tools and ornaments. Nothing would be wasted. As he worked, he thought about the delicate balance of nature. The predator and prey, the hunter and the hunted, all part of a cycle that had been spinning for millennia. He, Ealdred, was just one small part of that cycle, a single thread in the vast tapestry of life. The forest, no longer holding its breath, began to sigh, the wind rustling the leaves, birds resuming their songs. Life and death continued. Section 5. The Hunter's Return. The journey back to the village was long, but Ealdred did not mind. He carried the weight of the stag on his shoulders, not as a burden, but as an honor. The setting sun cast long shadows through the trees, painting the forest in hues of orange and purple. He thought about his village, the people he provided for. He knew they would be waiting for him, their faces etched with worry and anticipation. They understood the risks he took, the dangers he faced, and they would welcome him back not just with relief, but with gratitude. He emerged from the forest just as the first stars began to appear in the twilight sky. The village nestled in the valley below was a beacon of warmth and light. He could almost smell their wood smoke from the fires, hear the laughter of children playing. His heart swelled with a deep sense of belonging. He was a hunter, yes, but he was also a provider, a protector. He was a part of something larger than himself, a vital link in the chain that bound them all together. Section 6. Sharing the Bounty. The villagers greeted him with cheers and embraces. The children danced around him, their eyes wide with excitement. He had brought back food, he had brought back life. The elders nodded their approval, their faces etched with wisdom and gratitude. They understood the sacred duty he performed, the ancient pact he upheld. That night they feasted. The air was thick with the smell of roasting meat, the flames of the bonfire reflecting in their eyes. Stories were shared. Laughter echoed through the night. Ealdred recounted his tale, his voice low and respectful as he described his encounter with the stag. He spoke of the animal's majesty, the grace of its movements, the way it had fought for its life until the very end. He did not glorify the kill, but neither did he shy away from it. He spoke of the respect he held for the creature, the gratitude he felt for the gift it had given. As the fire burned low and the villagers began to drift off to sleep, Ealdred sat alone, staring into the embers. He knew that in the morning the cycle would begin anew. He would hunt again, he would take another life, and he would do so with the same reverence and respect that he had always shown. For he was a hunter, yes, but he was also a guardian, a steward of the wild. He was a part of something ancient and sacred, a bond between man and nature that would endure long after he was gone.